what's going on with the cosmetics industry as a whole? It seems like there's so many cosmetic companies. Can you share like the cliff notes of what we've, discovered in this industry?
Yeah, cosmetics are huge, not only in raw dollars, but there's a number of companies. It's a highly fragmented ecosystem. It's estimated that there are about 5,000 cosmetics brands in the US alone, right? Not all of them are multi-billion dollar, huge ones. A lot of them are startups, right? It is relatively simple to start a cosmetics brand. And the interesting thing about cosmetics is because it is almost purpose built for e-commerce, being high value, lightweight, and something that people use regularly. The really interesting thing about cosmetics is that there has been a lot of positioning and multiple levers that people pull in order to frame who they're working for, who they're appealing to. And so in cosmetics, there's call it four different high level groups that people will look at. There's the first kind of segment is this idea of inclusive beauty. And so the cosmetic brand is going after and trying to serve an underserved group. This could be in the form of an extended color palette. So think of Bobbi Brown, Fenty Beauty, where they're providing products for different skin tones. There's also gender neutral beauty. And so these are brands that are appealing to kind of transgender or male makeup communities. So that's kind of the first group of this inclusive beauty. The second piece is what I call responsible beauty. And those are appealing to consumers who are really mindful about their impact on the planet. This could be clean beauty, right? Where their pitch is our product is free from X. This would be things like The Ordinary or Say Beauty. You've got brands that really focus in on cruelty free. And so they just look at the ethics of the production and testing. There's a concept of blue beauty. So the idea that you're going to divert plastic away, you're going to be very responsible from a packaging and a sourcing point of view. And so that kind of makes up that responsible beauty category. And then the third and the fourth are a little bit more defined. You've got the holistic beauty, where it's this idea of performance makeup. So be maybe a makeup that has other skin benefits like hydration or SPF or anti-aging properties. So Glossier is a good example. And then the last kind of lever that people pull is what I call statement beauty. And so you've got on one end of the spectrum, the maximalist, which would be like bold colors, very luxurious and glamorous. Charlotte Tilbury comes to mind. And then the other end of the spectrum, just the other side of the same coin, is minimalist beauty. And so that's RMS beauty, that's ELA beauty, those sorts of things. And the really interesting thing about the cosmetics industry in general is that a lot of brands will pick and choose different aspects. They have all these different levers. And so, I could go on and probably have a dozen more different attributes, but you can start to see how the ecosystem can support 5,000 different brands in the US, because you kind of take this part over here from the holistic part, you take that part from responsible beauty, and you kind of pull them together, and that's your unique niche that people are creating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting parts of cosmetics too is that, there is enough space in the category because there's been some just tremendous outcomes in the industry. In the past 5 years, there's probably been 2 or 3 dozen, quote unquote startups that have sold for multi-$100 million or more. I mean, the exit outcomes of cosmetic brands has been really remarkable. I think partially probably because it's like a routine driven product, meaning like, hey, if I'm using, I don't use cosmetics, but if I were to use, a cosmetic product and I'm going out and using it, it's probably something that I, put on every time I go out. Right. So I think it's that kind of repeat nature of cosmetics that enable them to get such a high multiple when it comes to exit valuation.